Jawahar Sarkar quits politics, pens a strong-worded letter to Mamta over RG Kar case handling and rampant corruption in the party. NSA Ajit Doval to visit Russia next week to present Russia-Ukraine peace plan. After Amit Shah, Prime Minister Modi to headline rallies in Jammu ahead of the landmark polls. Shocking discrepancies in Abhaya's post-mortem report point towards clear foul play. Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh meets Governor amid fresh incidents of violence.
Presented by Royal Global University, Northeast can't wait. Pado kuch bano.
And well, days after Russian President Vladimir Putin called on India to play the mediator's role in ending the ongoing military conflict with Ukraine, NSA Ajit Doval, who will fly to Moscow next week during his visit, Doval will likely meet and present India's plan to end the protracted conflict that has left thousands of dead bodies on both the sides. Meanwhile, after Russian president's call to New Delhi to mediate for peace with Ukraine, the Palestinian envoy that has also urged India to lead the efforts for an end to hostilities in Gaza. Take a look at this detailed report.
After Russian President Vladimir Putin's message to New Delhi to mediate and work towards truce with Ukraine, India has drawn up a peace plan. It is understood that National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will travel to Russia next week, during which he will present India's peace plan. The military conflict in Eastern Europe has dragged on for close to 2 years now, leaving thousands dead on both sides. Speaking in Moscow earlier, Putin said India, China and Brazil could play mediators in bringing the protracted conflict to an end.
We respect our friends and partners who, I think, are sincerely interested in addressing all the issues and resolve all the issues associated with this conflict. First of all, it is Chinese People's Republic, Brazil, India. I'm in contact with my partners, and I have no doubt that the leaders of these countries, and we have the relations of trust and confidence with one another, will be really interested and provide a helping hand.
During his talks with Putin in Moscow earlier this year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that this is not an era of war. During his Ukraine visit that followed recently, PM Modi advocated for dialogue and diplomacy to end the conflict. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni also backed India earlier to negotiate truce between Russia and Ukraine. Weighing in on India's peace plan and the NSA's visit to Russia, former diplomat Robinder Sachdeva termed it as a huge win for New Delhi.
India is clearly saying that we will participate and we want to participate, let's put it that way, to bring an end to this conflict whenever the parties are ready. The parties will be ready sometime or the other. Will have to see the realities and come to a pause. So India has shifted its gears in its diplomacy. Specific steps which are happening in this game, of course, we do not know in the public domain as to what all is happening, but reading what's going on, we can assume and reasonably be sure that India is playing a proactive role and positioned itself, and the world is welcoming it.
However, Foreign Affairs analyst Shriparna Pathak said that the peace efforts could alter significantly if Donald Trump wins the US presidential polls.
That being stated, how well would Ukraine respond to these calls? That's going to be difficult because there have been efforts by other countries also to resolve or to get the two sides to talk. But given the fact that there are it's not just Russia and Ukraine which are parties to this conflict. There are Western countries, other Western countries, European countries also which have stakes, also which have defense supplies, etc. It's going to be a difficult task. Right. That being said, it's laudable that at least India is taking the effort.
Meanwhile, Palestinian ambassador Adnan Abu al-Hajja also urged India to lead the efforts towards peace in Gaza. The envoy said that New Delhi should convene a global peace conference and work towards the independence of Palestine.
We are always looking for a friend like India to play a mediator role, and I know India is a peaceful country, so we are calling them to play that role, especially they are friend of both, and to make ceasefire, to call for international conference to lead to the independence of the state of Palestine and the land of 1967 with East Jerusalem as its capital.
With Palestine turning to New Delhi after Putin, the larger question is, has India shed its non-aligned trappings and arrived as a global peacemaker?
And well, as the Justice for Abhaya campaign continues across the country and beyond, your channel has been able to access exclusive details of a post-mortem report bringing glaring inconsistencies to the fore. The post-mortem report that mentions that she was brought dead when the junior doctor had been on duty at RG for 36 hours straight. In another major update amid the ongoing CBI probe into RG rape and murder, experts who conducted the polygraph test on the arrested accused, Sanjoy Roy, are of the belief that he lied about his innocence in the case. Experts said that they noted stress while Sanjoy claimed his innocence in the barbaric rape and murder, adding that they also picked up abnormal changes in his pulse rate and heartbeat during the polygraph test. Watch this report.
As protests for justice in RG rape and murder continue unabated, Republic has dug out glaring inconsistencies in Abhaya's post-mortem report. The report submitted in the Supreme Court states that she was brought dead when she had been on duty for 36 hours at RG, leading up to her barbaric rape and murder. The bizarre claim in the report has stoked suspicion of a deliberate attempt to throw the investigators off the scent. In another major development, a preliminary assessment by experts who carried out the polygraph test on accused Sanjay Roy suggests that he lied about his innocence in the case. The experts said they spotted signs of stress while Sanjay claimed his innocence in the ghastly rape and murder. According to top sources, the experts also picked up abnormalities in his pulse rate and heartbeat when he was subjected to the test. As the role of Mamata government in the RG cover-up comes under the scanner, TMC MP Jawahar Sarkar on Sunday resigned from the Rajya Sabha.
जॉर्ज सरकार रिजाइन फ्रॉम राज्यसभा और ममता बनर्जी, ये पहले देखना चाहिए. वो ममता बंदोपाध्याय को लेटर दिया, उसको बोलो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को लेटर देने के लिए, राज्यसभा चेयरमैन को लेटर देने के लिए बोलिए कि हाँ मैंने राज्यसभा का चेयरमैन को लेटर दे रहा हूँ, मैं यहाँ पोस्ट से रिजाइन दे रहा हूँ, क्योंकि तृणमूल करप्शन पार्टी है. तृणमूल का जो आरजीकर में घटना घटी है इसका विरोध मैंने खिलाफ हूँ. वो पहले राज्यसभा चेयरमैन को देना चाहिए, ममता बनर्जी को देंगे फिर वापस उठा लेंगे.
In a letter to the TMC Supremo, Sarkar said that he has also decided to withdraw from active politics altogether. Coming out in support of the public anger on the streets, Sarkar said that people on the streets are demonstrating lack of confidence in the government. Meanwhile, the next Supreme Court hearing in the RG rape and murder case is scheduled for Monday. The Apex Court recently refused to entertain Sandeep Ghosh's plea, challenging the High Court order of a probe into allegations of irregularities against him. Bengal leader of opposition Suvendu Adhikari meanwhile reiterated the call of resignation of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, calling the anti-rape bill that she brought as a stunt to deflect scrutiny in the RG Kar case. He states that the draft legislation passed in the assembly was defective.
आरजीकर का जो इंसिडेंट हुआ है उसके बाद ये रेपिस्ट और मर्डरर और जो मोलेस्टेशन करने वाला आदमी है उसका खिलाफ जनता जागरूक हुआ है और सिस्टम को बंगाल में चेंज करना चाहिए। अभी भी खास करके माता बहन दीदी और बेटी के ऊपर अत्याचार बंद नहीं हुआ। ये अत्याचार बंद करने के लिए एक ही सॉल्यूशन है, यहाँ का जो सरकार है जिन्होंने रेपिस्ट को मोलेस्टेटेड को आदमी को जो सब घटिया काम कर रहा है उसको संरक्षण दे रहा है, वो सरकार को हटाना चाहिए। चीफ मिनिस्टर शुड स्टेप डाउन।
Meanwhile, chants of justice for Abhaya rang out in Singapore as NRIs gathered on the streets to vent their outrage over the rape and murder. Doctors in Kolkata, meanwhile, organized a human chain protest in the city as part of the relentless campaign for justice and accountability in the case. The glaring loopholes in the post-mortem report adds to the sequence of explosive revelations, lending further credence to Mamata's RG Kar cover-up claim.
And well, after Union Home Minister Amit Shah tore into the rival Congress NCP combine and the PDP, getting the BJP's campaign for Jammu and Kashmir Assembly polls off to a big bang start, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Jammu on the 14th of September. BJP, according to sources, has lined up several mega rallies featuring Prime Minister Modi in Jammu ahead of the opening phase of the landmark elections on September 18. In a blistering public address on Saturday, Amit Shah laid into the opposition over its pro-separatist campaign pitch, saying that the three-phase elections will be for one flag, one constitution and one leader. We bring you this report for all the developments from the valley ahead of the landmark polls.
भारत माता की
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to arrive in Jammu on September 14th, giving the BJP's campaign a further boost before the landmark assembly election opens. According to the top sources, PM Modi will headline several rallies in the Jammu region ahead of the first phase of the polling on September 18th. Meanwhile, in a big development ahead of the polls, the BJP fielded Vikram Randhawa from Bahu, putting former Deputy CM Kavinder Gupta out of the race.
BJP has now given the ticket to Vikram Randhawa, who is a Jat Sikh face and son of the former MLA from Jammu and Kashmir. Apart from this, there have been a total of 10 tickets that have been announced in the sixth list of the Bharatiya Janata Party, taking the total number of the candidates that the BJP has fielded in the Jammu and Kashmir polls to the 62. And with this number, the BJP has become the single largest party to contest the maximum number of seats in Jammu and Kashmir.
भारत माता की
Launching the BJP's campaign earlier on Saturday, Union Home Minister Amit Shah came out firing at the opposition over its pro-separatist agenda.
आप ये मान कर चलिए कि आने वाला चुनाव एक ऐतिहासिक चुनाव है। जब से देश आजाद हुआ, पहली बार जम्मू कश्मीर का मतदाता दो झंडे नहीं, एक तिरंगे के नीचे अपना मतदान करेगा। दो संविधान नहीं, भारत के संविधान जिसको बाबा साहेब आम्बेडकर ने बनाया, इसके नीचे हमारा वोटिंग होने जा रहा है।
Punching holes into the opposition's promise to restore Article 370 to the valley, Shah asserted that it was history.
बड़ी दुख की बात है, विगत दिनों में एनसी का एजेंडा मैंने पढ़ा है और एनसी के एजेंडे को कांग्रेस का मौन समर्थन भी मैंने देखा है। मगर मैं आज आप सभी पत्रकार भाइयों के माध्यम से पूरे देश को स्पष्ट कर देना चाहता हूं, धारा 370 इतिहास बन चुकी है, वो कभी लौटकर नहीं आने सकती, हम आने भी नहीं।
Stressing that the upcoming elections will be for one flag and constitution, Shah said that a win for the opposition would mean the return of militancy in the valley.
ये रिजर्वेशन पर हम पुनः विचार करेंगे। आज मैं फिर से सभी कार्यकर्ताओं को कहता हूं, एक एक पहाड़ी के घर पर, एक एक गुर्जर बकरवाल के घर पर, एक एक दलित भाई जाट भाई के घर पर जाइए और बताइए कि आपका आरक्षण छीनना चाहते हैं। इसको भारतीय जनता पार्टी ही बचा सकती है और कोई नहीं बचा सकता।
Meanwhile, responding to Shah's blistering takedown of the opposition, former CM Farooq Abdullah questioned if the revocation of Article 370 put an end to terror in the valley.
मैं उनसे मैं कहना चाहता हूं, वो हिंदू अब वो हिंदू नहीं रहा जो इनके बात समझता है। पहले तो इनने राम को बेचने की कोशिश की, अब ये डराने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और कहते हैं कि अगर नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस कांग्रेस आई तो यहाँ पे फिर से वही आतंकवाद शुरू होगा। मैं इनसे पूछता हूँ, जब से 370 ले गए, क्या आतंकवाद बंद हुआ? आज आतंकवाद फिर से शुरू हो गया है। उसके जिम्मेवार ये खुद हैं और हमें कहते हैं कि हम जिम्मेवार हैं।
कभी लौटकर नहीं आने सकती, हम आने।
After Shah's stirring address, there is mounting public anticipation around PM Modi's visit to Jammu and the vision for J&K that he presents to blunt the opposition's narrative.
And moving on, as amid the fresh wave of violence and trouble-torn Manipur, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh called on Governor Lakshman Prasad Acharya at Raj Bhavan. Today, the meeting, which lasted about an hour, followed less than 24 hours after the private conversation that the two had earlier for half an hour on Saturday night. The meeting that took place in the backdrop of the latest clashes in the state that have claimed 6 lives. Watch this report for more.
With the state grappling with a fresh wave of violence, Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh met Governor Lakshman Prasad Acharya on Sunday. The meeting at Raj Bhavan came less than 12 hours after the two went into a huddle on Saturday night. The meeting on Sunday, which also featured the state chief secretary and the ruling BJP MLAs, lasted for about an hour. While there was no official word on what went down at the meeting, the CM may have sought the transfer of control of the Unified Command, according to a report. The Unified Command comprises top security officials, including the state's security advisor Kuldeep Singh.
The gun in my hand is the Dronam. This is the anti-drone gun which has now been deployed in Manipur. As the situation in Manipur continues to remain tense, this anti-drone gun will now protect the civilian population from the repeated drone attacks. We are in a fringe area inside Kangpokpi, and it is from the fringe areas that drones were being launched in order to attack civilian population, particularly in the fringe areas. And now the Dronam has arrived. The CRPF has brought this anti-drone gun. It can shoot down drones up to a range of 2 kilometers.
In fresh violence that broke out earlier, a Methi villager was killed by suspected insurgents.
Yesterday, in one such incident from the foodal areas of Bishnupur district, rockets were fired towards the Loktak Lake, and in one such rocket strike, one person have died due to the injury inflicted by the splinter, and 5 others were injured. Meanwhile, the combing operation was also carried out subsequently after the rocket strikes, and in the combing operation 5 to 6 bunkers of the Kuki militants were destroyed.
In a retaliatory action, the security forces gunned down 4 Kuki extremists. A cadre of another extremist outfit was also killed by Kuki militants, raising the toll to 6. Swinging into action after rocket attacks in remote villages claimed a life and left 14 injured, the security forces tore down bunkers that were being used by the suspected insurgents. With the state racked by a fresh cycle of violence and death, the big question is, will the latest meeting at Raj Bhavan be followed by a crackdown on the insurgents?
And well, in a tragic incident, 8 people died while 28 others were injured after a building collapsed at Transport Nagar in Sarojini Nagar area of Lucknow. The injured have been admitted to a nearby hospital. Getting you the details on the latest.
At least 8 people were killed while 28 people were rescued after a 3-story building collapsed in Transport Nagar in Lucknow. In the latest development, Prime Minister Modi announced 2 lakhs from the PM-NRF fund to the next kin of each and every person whose life has been claimed. Several people are still feared trapped under the debris. While people are still recovering from this collapse, concerns about the possible collapse of an adjacent building has also come to the fore.
See, definitely the death toll is still 8, and I will show you the current visuals, the current picture of the rescue operation. See, first of all, try and understand what is the challenge with this rescue operation. As we can see, there is a building just with the impacted building, and we can see there is an impact of this event on that building also. So there is a possibility that this building will also collapse. That's the reason this rescue operation is going very slow, and the teams, the NDRF, SDRF team, they have taken a path from the other side of the building. And as we can see here, we have JCB, here we have Poklane machines, here we have bulldozers who are trying to get a path from the damaged area, from the debris of this impacted building.
रेस्क्यू की स्थितियों में अभी तक हम लोगों को जो है 28 लोग घायल मिले थे, उनको लोक नायक जय अस्पताल और लखनऊ के अस्पतालों में उनका इलाज किया जा रहा है। जो अभी हम लोगों को मेडिकल से जो सूचना प्राप्त हुई है, दे आर मतलब अंडर कंट्रोल, और वो उनको पूर्ण रूप से सुरक्षित कर लिया गया है। जो 8 लोग हैं उनके बारे में दुखद सूचना थी, वो उनकी डेड बॉडीज़ जो मिली थी उन्हें उनके परिजनों को सूचित करके और लीगल कार्रवाइयाँ जो है पूरी की जा रही हैं।
Teams from the National Disaster Response Force and State Disaster Response Force are carrying out these rescue operations.
2 और लोगों को निकाला गया है। इससे पहले 28 लोग निकाले गए थे। अभी सेकेंड फेज़ में 2 और लोगों को निकाला गया। दोनों ही अभी हॉस्पिटल भेजे गए हैं, और अब अगली फेज़ का ये ऑपरेशन NDRF के द्वारा किया जा रहा है। तो अभी इसमें कोई अगर व्यक्ति होगा उसको सुरक्षित निकालने का प्रयास होगा।
The injured have been admitted to the hospital and rescue operations are currently underway.
बताया गया इनकी प्लेट क्रैक हुआ, नीचे ग्राउंड फ्लोर ने जो भी गोडाउन था उन्होंने इन्फॉर्म किया हम लोगों को, तो हम लोग देखने गए तो सच में बिल्डिंग क्रैक हुआ था। तो उसके बाद हम लोग बात करी, बॉस से बात करी गई, तो उन्होंने बोला कि ऐसे दिक्कत आ रही तो काम रोक दिया जाए, गोडाउन बंद कर दिया जाए। एक बिल्डिंग टूटा हुआ था, उसके करीब आधे घंटे 1 घंटे बाद लगभग बिल्डिंग गिरी।
Meanwhile, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is monitoring all the developments and has directed the officials to ensure proper treatment for the injured. The reason behind the collapse of the building still remains unknown.